Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of our Let's Play of 80 Days with Nerdstalgic. So, thus far in our adventure with the esteemed Monsieur Fogg, we are doing pretty well on money, but not so well on time. I believe that we have just arrived in Bombay. Yes, Bombay. We're on day 29. We took a ship to Bombay, and it was like the longest ship ride ever, I'm pretty sure. But on the ship ride, we were treated with some humor in the way of a young lady who was wanting to write a book and her father who was very, very ashamed of her. So just one second while I get an online timer set up so that I make sure that this episode does not go absolutely too long. I'm sure you guys understand. Sometimes I get a little carried away and episodes just run on, and yeah, we want to avoid that if at all possible. So, some of you have came in with some pretty helpful comments about the game, you know, just different things that might help with the gameplay, you know. Some of it was things that I did already know or maybe suspected, but it's always good to have confirmation from you guys. I really enjoy interacting with you guys, and comments are always welcome. You never know, somebody else might be watching this that might have a question about what you comment on, so you might answer somebody else's question as well as mine. So thank you guys so much for watching and commenting and just being there. So love you guys, you're awesome. All right, let's get started. So Monsieur Fogg cared not a straw for the wonders of Bombay, but gave me a few hours leisure as he settled to his evening paper in the morning. I ended up wheezing and puffing my Malabar Hill, the highest point in South Bombay. I paused at the top. Maybe we should look at our overview first before I make any crazy decisions. I was kind of wanting to do a little planning, but I guess we can't. I think our plan, now I'm trying to remember, I think our plan was to go from Bombay to somewhere in India where we could catch a boat, where we could kind of be boating around all the way to Hong Kong, I think was our plan. But we certainly seem to have a lot of money, but I'm not sure how far that's actually going to get us, because a lot of what the people have told us about the routes across the Pacific is that it's exorbitantly expensive, so we'll see. I paused at the top and looked out at the bay. British airships dominated the skyline, tethered loosely to the gunboats that patrolled the docks. Brightly painted merchant ships darted into the harbor, eager to unload their cargo before the light faded. Catching my breath, I found my steps irresistibly drawn towards, so we can go either to the Banganga Temple, which I'm probably butchering that, or the Hang Gardens. Let's go to the Hang Gardens, which shielded the Parsi Tower of Silence from the bay. The Hang Gardens were magnificent. Little steam-powered curricles and horse-drawn carriages vied for space underneath the shady trees. British officers escorted their stiff-bodiced wives or made eyes at brightly dressed Indian girls. And in the shadow of the gardens, I saw the symbol of the copper lily on the door of a converted mansion. Copper lily, isn't that like the artificer's symbol or something like that? There is some significance to this, otherwise it wouldn't be in the narrative. If anything I've learned about this game is that there's not a whole lot of fluff in... If this makes any sense, there is fluff in the narrative, but it's in places that you would expect it to be fluff. This is not fluff. I steered clear, finding my way back to Monsieur Fogg through the thronging streets of this busy city. Alright, so time is going to pass. Let's look at this departure thing just real quick. Time is going to go a lot quicker now. Where are we at? We're at Bombay. So I think our idea here was to try to get to Calcutta. When would it leave? When would it leave? We could go right now. Take 3 suitcases, minus 20 health. That would arrive Thursday. Great Indian Peninsula Railway departs at noon. Okay. Alright, well, let's back out. Oop, boop, 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 boop. See what we can do here. Alright, let's go to the market. Alright, Southern Him. Oh, have we already been to the market here? Maybe we already went to the market here. Well, we could carry this with us. We don't need an extra suitcase. New routes discovered. Okay, I am glad that the time did pause here. So Colombo to Singapore. Batavia to Singapore, but also to... I think we knew these, but since we sold it, we lost these routes. Aha. So don't sell it until you're ready to... We're gonna miss the train today. That's fine. I walked the streets a while, discovering the possibilities for how we might make progress. Let's go to the bank. Monsieur Fogg snapped shut his ledger. Let's see if this bank can offer us a good return for our time. I regarded the manager of the bank as we entered, a well-dressed, calm lady who greeted us with eager enthusiasm. Want to make a withdrawal? The manager asked. You may have to wait a day or two. So we can get £1,000 tomorrow, 3,000 in 3 days, or 5,000 in a week. Well, we'll probably be here tomorrow still, so let's go ahead and get £1,000 tomorrow. I will have to communicate with London first. Of course, she apologized. I should have a reply tomorrow. It seems, Monsieur Fogg remarked as we left, we have some time to dispose of. So I'm thinking we're probably going to depart on that railway, and it leaves at noon tomorrow. So we could go to Nova Goa, but I don't think that's what we're going to do. What about here? Departs tomorrow at noon. Yeah, this is the way I think we're going to go. We're going to go this way. Boop, over to Calcutta. Okay, ooh, nice airship. How does this go? Train. Could negotiate that. Nah. Alright, let's go to the hotel. I think we know what we're going to do. We took a room and settled in, and I starched the collars of our shirts to ensure everything was in place for our upcoming departure. Our funds will be ready to collect when the bank opens. Tapping the clock will skip time forward. And that is something that was told to me, is that you can advance time 1 hour blocks at a time. So we're going to need to book into the bank, hopefully. And, oh man. Shit. That didn't work out. So we lost time. Damn. Okay, well, let's just look at our plan. Could we negotiate that? Arrive Saturday, tomorrow at 12 noon. Doesn't look like we can negotiate it. Oh well. So it's just kind of the same route. Well, I guess we're staying an extra day. That's, that's what happened. I got greedy. I wanted the money, just in case. The last light of the evening, I engaged another guest in conversation to find out what I could. Learning that the last bank in Agra had closed. A most interesting snippet. Alright, well, let's go ahead and depart. So that'll get there on Saturday, this will get there on Sunday. Let's just go ahead and embark. 3 suitcases, which is good. High temperatures, but we do have the Panama hat. So we're only going to lose 5, so we're okay. And now we get to see what shenanigans I can get myself into on the trip here. Went with Sir Francis to Bombay Station to buy our tickets through to Calcutta. The clerk who took our money counted it out fastidiously and then recounted it before issuing us a ticket. A ticket to Calcutta, Sahib. 4 days, no faster way in the world. What about airships? Airships are fast. Yes, of course, she replied, still smiling. But they are not as opulent as our train. I look forward to the journey. Yes, good, you will see. You will wake up a new man in Calcutta, Sahib. She gave me an edged smile. I should have known she was lying. But we boarded the train in blissful ignorance of our fate. Oh, God. Oh, God. What have I done? Alright. Greetings, Monsieur Rajesh. That is correct. I wish to check your ticket out again, Passaporto. Well, let's talk about Calcutta to Hong Kong. I've heard you can reach Hong Kong from Calcutta. The subject was steamships. I've heard Vladivostok is linked to Yokohama by Korean trader, but it's slow going. What about Hong Kong to Singapore? I wouldn't believe it. What? I've seen it before with my own eyes. What about Hong Kong to Honolulu? Who cares? But you can pick up harmonicas in Honolulu, extremely valuable in New Orleans. Well, we are going to be trying to go from Honolulu to the U.S., so that's worth knowing. Let's give him some tea. What can you tell me about Calcutta? Calcutta is famed for its art, literature, and theater. Okay. What about Calcutta to this guy? Picture this place. Did you realize that the quickest way to Guwahati from here is through Chittagong? Well, what about Port Moresby? Talk a lot, don't you? Yeah, I do. I do talk a lot. All right, so we did learn that we can go from Vladivostok to Yokohama via ship. That's really the only thing we learned. That kind of stinks. I'd like to have learned more. The train started with a sharp screech, but entirely punctually. We shared our compartment with Sir Francis. My master made no secret of the circumstances of his journey, and our new friend clearly thought him entirely devoid of common sense. A reasonable judgment, which I personally shared. Indeed, I had rather hoped that Bombay would be the terminus of our journey. We were plainly whirling across India at full speed. Our wager was now in full swing. I began to worry over delays and obstacles, both imagined and real. Monsieur Fogg's cool-headed demeanor seemed incroyable and made me admire him all the more, while stiffening my resolve to aid him in winning his wager at any cost. I slept fitfully. Though the berths were comfortable enough, I had an uneasy feeling about our journey across India. Yeah, there's definitely been some foreshadowing, hasn't there? And we know it's going to be hot. All right, let's attend to fog. Today, Sir Francis told me of the regions we were passing through. Monsieur Fogg, who was not traveling, but merely describing a circumference, preferred to reread his edition of the Morning Post. I listened eagerly to his bloody stories of Aurangabad, capital of the Mughal Empire, Emperor Aurangzeb, and the rock-cut temples and ancient caves of Ellora, which had Buddhist and Jain inscriptions, as well as Hindu. Sounds wondrous. Wondrous indeed, and dangerous. Sir Francis shot me a serious look. There are rumors of Kali Bhakts in the forests of Jharkhand. They are devotees of Kali, the red-tongued Hindu goddess of death. I have heard rumors that these devotees have been the cause of some recent disturbances. What kind of disturbances? Sir Francis sighed deeply. They have been murdering travelers, leaving the corpses on display as a grotesque warning to the British Raj. Wow. Have they not been caught? I was indignant that such barbarities were not swiftly dealt with. The Kali Bhakts operate in the territory of the independent Maharaja of Gwalior, governed by one of his liege Rajas who died last month. The Raja's death was the start of all the trouble. Sir Francis sighed volubly again, and we lapsed into comfortable silence for the rest of our journey that day. The narrative in this game is so good. So good. I'm really impressed. What do we got here? Publishing sensation Noor Williamson has Voyage d'Amour exclusive. That's the young lady that we talked to. So I wonder if we're going to be stopping in Allahabad. The train conductor woke us up as he passed along the carriages shouting, "Passengers will get out here." Monsieur Fogg gave me a look, and so I determined to find a way to make our journey continue, though my hopes on that were quickly dashed when I discovered there was no more track. What? Many of the other passengers began to load their bags into palanquins, ponies, steam carriages, which had all clearly been previously arranged. Sir Francis looked quite ready to knock the conductor flat on his back, though my master betrayed not even the slightest hint of dismay. I asked the conductor, who merely shrugged and pointed towards the minarets of the city. "Everyone must organize their own transportation," he said, cutting off my remonstrations. A boy not long out of short trousers seemed to take pity on us, or at least had a wish to practice his English, and directed us towards a local merchant who had recently purchased a large mechanical elephant from Bombay. So, wherever we got this route from apparently was not true. That's interesting. I didn't know that that was potentially something in the game. That's neat. That's neat. It's awesome that you can have, even when bad things happen in the game, it still is fun. No departures today. We should explore them. I agree, Monsieur. I agree. So we can go to Benares. Allahabad was a charming enough town, though not, it must be said, a desired destination of ours. Beyond the city limits and between us and our goal lay the forest of Jharkhand, populated by tigers, pythons, elephants, and, apparently, bandits. Monsieur Fogg was his usual phlegmatic self, but I was beside myself with worry. This was an unexpected and unwelcome delay. Alright, let's look at our plan. So, I don't see any reason to go here. We can go here, so departs Sunday, arrives Tuesday. Costs 2,900 pounds, guys. 2,900 pounds. Departs tomorrow at 5 p.m. Can take 4 suitcases, but we're going to lose 46 health. Holy crap. That's insanity. Insanity. Maybe we'll have time to stop by the market tomorrow, since it leaves at 5. That would be good. Alright. Pass the night here. As night fell, I spent a while talking to the hotelier to learn what I could, but gathered little that Monsieur Fogg would be interested in. So I guess there's just nothing that we can do here. Nothing. Great. Alright, well, we're going to Calcutta. It's because this is really the only place we can go. At least we do have the valeting set. So we're taking the mechanical elephant, which looks pretty awesome. It was easy to spot Chuni, the mechanical elephant, as she was easily the largest creature, no, indeed, structure in Allahabad. Her owner's eyes lit with avarice at our approach. My friends, do not make me commit to paper the sum that Monsieur Fogg paid for that elephant. But I nearly expired several times over during the negotiation, and Monsieur Fogg advised me to splash some cool water upon my face to revive myself. All three of us, myself, Monsieur Fogg, and Sir Francis, mounted into the iron carriage, suspended within the cage of rotating gimbals, which comprised her belly. Man, that would be so cool. The cage kept the carriage from pitching and rolling with Chinese iron-footed gait, like a gyroscope one could perch within. The Mahu, scrambled up behind the pachyderm's padded neck, and we set off in a straight line towards Calcutta. Who can we talk to? Oh, it's Sir Francis. What can you tell me about Calcutta to Singapore? You've mentioned steamships. I've been told one can sail aboard the Dark Queen from Burlington to New Orleans, but it's slow going. Can you tell me anything about this route? Can you tell me anything about this route? You have to ask my secretary, but you can obtain zoetropes in Colombo, extremely valuable in Singapore. So Burlington to New Orleans. So far, all routes seem to point towards New Orleans. That is true. We were 4 hours into the shortcut through the Jark. Oh God, we know what's in the forest, right? When the Mahout called a halt, I watched his face, which went utterly pale and still at the sound of cymbals and bells overlaid with voices raised in chant. The Mahout urged Chuni behind some thick foliage and turned off her engine. She slumped into guttering silence. Through the branches, I saw a group of priests who were garlanding a procession of armed men and women with marigold and jasmine. Some burned camphor, while others smeared sandalwood paste on the devotees' foreheads. Behind the procession loomed a four-armed mechanical Kali with polished black skin, gleaming ruby eyes, and a protruding tongue the color of blood. Nice. She brandished wickedly curving blades in 3 of her arms as she took each piston-driven step, and she clutched a young woman whose head, neck, shoulders, ears, arms, hands, and toes were loaded down with jewels and gems, and whose eyes were thickly cold. Sir Francis looked troubled. I have heard rumors that the Kali cult sacrifices virgins. The Mahout shook his head. She is no virgin. That is the widow of the Raja. She looked very small and frail in the iron arm of the mechanical goddess, but was quickly lost from view. The Mahout had begun to start Chuni's engine when Monsieur Fogg said, "Suppose we save this woman." "How exactly?" I demanded with some excitement. "I see only one course." The project he then outlined was a bold one, not to say impractical. Monsieur Fogg was to risk life, or at least liberty, and therefore the success of his tour to rescue the lady. Well, I was ready for anything that might be proposed. As for my master, I perceived a heart, a soul under his icy exterior for the first time. We decided to wait till the early hours of the morning and spirit the woman away from camp when the mercenaries were asleep. Well, this promises to be interesting. Look at all that health we lost there. Right, we need to give him back some health. We crept up on the Kali box as they slumbered in a clearing beside a ruined temple. There were guards patrolling at each corner of the camp. A stealthy rescue would be impossible. I was seized with an admittedly foolhardy notion to disguise myself as a guard. Together with Monsieur Fogg and Sir Francis, we captured a guard whilst he was relieving himself against a tree. His clothes were a loose fit, but serviceable enough in the dim morning light. I stole into the camp with soft, careful steps, but could not help a triumphant grin as I passed by without attracting undue notice. I found the young prisoner huddled in sleep and reached out to her shoulder to wake her. My fingers barely brushed her tunic when I felt my legs swept out from under me. I dropped to my knees, quick as a panther. The woman leapt to her feet and pressed the edge of a gleaming curved blade to my neck. Her lips were drawn in a grin more bloodthirsty than ladylike. "Good morning," she said in cultured English tones. "A pleasure to make your acquaintance. And so we came to be prisoners of a Kali cult in the forests of Jarkon." The woman, Aoda, turned out to be the leader rather than prisoner of this band of mercenaries. They had risen up against the British after the death of Aoda's husband, the Raja. Despite her fierce appearance, she left me my journal and pen. My documentary efforts seemed to fascinate her. She demanded I read her my recent entries until she came to this one, featuring herself. Her brow wrinkled. "We are not a Kali cult, monsieur. Erase that." "Then what are you?" I glanced at the mechanical goddess. "I cannot." "Then what are you?" Odo gave me a sardonic look which encompassed my me and my journal. "What exactly are you?" "A servant." She tilted her head. "We all serve, though only some of us lucky enough to choose our masters. Are you so lucky?" She left me with those words and moved on to interrogate Monsieur Fogg, who was attempting to sit very straight in his hempen bonds. As night fell in the forest, I pondered a life lived out here in this wilderness with no collars to starch ever again. Oh, we're losing a lot of time, aren't we? Let's attend to Fogg. I woke to a strange scene. Aoda and Monsieur Fogg were sitting at the feet of the mechanical goddess, sipping tea and conversing. Inasmuch as my master conversed, I shared a look with one of the mercenaries. We gave each other the commiserating look of those in service to capricious masters, a bond which overrode our positions as captor and captee. Aoda laughed and placed a delicate hand on my master's elbow. Mon Dieu, she was flirting! This was useful. I resolved to use her distraction as to find a way out of a rather unfortunate situation. I enlisted the aid of Sir Francis, who was tied nearby. He was an old India hand, after all, and had seen military service. We made a plan to sham stomach pains and attempt to overpower the guards when they approached. I don't know that this is necessary. I think Monsieur Fogg kind of already has this on lockdown, but suffice to say, the only result was a sharp thump with the butt of one of the mercenaries' pistols. I slept uneasily, contemplating more drastic action on the morrow. Alright, so I think we're going to put a cut in there on the video, and when we come back, we're going to figure out exactly what's going to happen to us. Are we going to die in the jungles? Are we going to waste all of our time in the jungle, or are we finally going to get out of here? So, thank you guys for joining me, and I hope to see you in the next video. Game on.